All right, so welcome to Do Your Own Research podcast show. And have you ever wondered if you want to save for whatever you want to buy on chain? Now, today I have a special guest, uh, Rachel from HaloFi, and we just want to discuss how to do this, how to manage savings from a modern perspective, not from the traditional ways that we are used to. So, welcome. Please introduce yourself and let's keep this conversation going.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast and then the video today. It's really great to share a little bit about HaloFi and also a bit about my story as well. Yeah, my name is Rachel. I'm the founder of HaloFi. Do you want me to just dive in and give a quick overview of like what HaloFi does for your users, your listeners?
Let's make it fun. So, let's start with probably what kind of problem you encountered or whatever kind of inspired you to dive into blockchain and solving modern problems.
Yeah, so this actually goes back almost 4 years ago. Actually, 2020 was when the
Mm-hmm.
original kind of started working on HaloFi. We pivoted a bit since then, so we've changed the product a little bit, but very much the vision and the mission does stay the same. And I think it's true. It's still true then as it is now. Basically, at that time, there was a lot of there's a lot of like interfaces, and there's a lot you can do if you are. Let's say you're this DeFi degen, and you've got all of your wallets set up. You've been in the space for a while. You're in all the discords. You're in the telegrams. You're very tech savvy. You're spending a lot of time researching and getting deep into the rabbit hole of crypto. And I think we can see, through DeFi summer, through yield farming, etc. There's a lot of opportunities for these people to grow their wealth. But I think, in the industry where we kind of the bit that we're often missing is actually how do we make it easy and accessible for people who don't want to spend 10 hours a day on a Discord, who don't want to be like always, on their Telegram, etc., who just want to use it in a bit more of a just in a bit more of a less intense way. So people who want to get exposure to some of the yields, some of the good things that you can get in DeFi without having to like fully commit to the whole lifestyle and being able to go off and lead their life as most people do. You know what I mean? Most people are not living the full-time crypto life. So we wanted to build something that basically could help regular people use crypto to save. So regular, we kind of mean people who don't necessarily have like this kind of high net worth, the 5-6 figures that is common in the DeFi space, but making something that's still meaningful. If you want to put in $10, if you want to put in $1, if you want to put in $50, something that's going to fit, better with kind of sort of the for most people, and also making it simple and easy to get going. So taking out some of the complexity, taking out some of the stress, and making it basically simpler to save with crypto. So that's always been our vision, to help more regular people save with crypto, get some of the upside, some of the yields that the DeFi degens are getting, but doing it in a more straightforward way.
Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from because, for example, I'll use me. I took a lot of time to understand DeFi and understand most of the products. So, if probably someone else who is new to the space got in, I don't think they will spend like more than 5 minutes in the space because everything is a lot of techie and there's so much to learn. Even setting up stuff like decentralized wallets is already hectic. Yeah, so I guess should I call it abstracting most of the degen work is what
Mm.
HaloFi has actually tried, not tried, but has achieved. Because yeah, I I occasionally look at the website and it's super simple to understand even to the normies. Let me call them normies. People are not deep into crypto and stuff. Yeah, they can take advantage of HaloFi and decentralization.
Yeah, so this has very much been our mission is to make it more straightforward, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think there's nothing wrong, if you want to go really commit yourself and really deep dive. And by the way, I love the name of the podcast, Do Your Own Research. It's always valid, right?
Thank you.
But sometimes you don't have enough time to be doing reading white papers, like getting your
Mm-hmm.
head around. There's very complicated things like impermanent loss that are kind of confusing when you're coming to this space. So we want to like take away all of that complexity and make it accessible for people who just want to get going, try it out, and kind of get the benefits. With HaloFi Save, we're specifically focused on saving in USD pegged stable tokens. So basically, what we call digital dollars. So we know that getting hold of dollars is very compelling, especially when you're in a location where currencies can be volatile, and we've seen this sort of over the last couple of years, particularly on the continent. And getting hold of USD means that you have a little bit more stability. You know what I mean? It can
Yeah.
help to cushion your savings against whatever local fluctuations might be happening at the time. And depending on your location, it may or may not be easy to get hold of dollars anyway. Some places it's more straightforward, some places it's harder. But we focus on USD pegged stable tokens because I think when it comes to volatile cryptos, I mean, they're very exciting and they're very fun, but maybe it's not really a case of saving. You know what I mean? This is more
Yeah.
like you're kind of hoping for the moon, right? Certainly when you get into the territory of like meme tokens, it's very much more speculative. So we wanted to focus on something that would be more similar to kind of how you would use personal finance in a more traditional way. You're saving every week, every month, and then you're getting your interest and APY on that, and you're able to do that in a globally accessible way to access USD pegged stable tokens.
Mm. Now that you brought up the traditional savings, uh, so are there some kind of limitations that you probably saw in the traditional savings that you probably wanted to use crypto and blockchain to sort of elevate the whole saving culture, or
Mm.
uh, were you just innovative in a way not to probably try to solve any limitations?
Yes, I think there's like different types of saving culture. I know, for example, in Kenya, it's very common to have like saving circles and use
Mm-hmm.
this type of mechanisms to save. At the moment, we haven't tackled that. I don't know. Maybe we will in the future. It's an interesting thing that we do. People often ask us about that, but we focus more on, in a sense, like kind of picking. We're quite conservative with the yield sources that we pick, so we go for what we'd say is typically like the blue chip type of DeFi protocols. So Aave, we're now introducing Beefy and Mula. Ones that have been around and been battle tested for a good few years. That means they're going to give a more, it's lower risk. Of course, like if you want to go really for the crazy, like 100% APY or whatever, beyond like that's maybe more getting you more into the degen side of things. So we take a more conservative. We've been getting, although it's still pretty compelling on Cello at the moment. The last month we've been getting between like 10 to 25% APY on dollars. So it's USD, which is I think pretty compelling. But what we've done is making it easy for people to access the savings, access HaloFi, so they can access USD pegged stable token saving from their phone. That was like very important to us, making it mobile friendly. Also, there's no restriction on the amount that you can deposit. So if you want to deposit 1 cent, even if you want to deposit less than a cent, you can do that, and we don't lock it up. So you've got flexibility to deposit, take it out when you need. So making it easy for people to get going without any kind of extra overheads of like monthly requirements, etc. And once you've got your wallet, it's very straightforward. You can deposit into HaloFi. It's going to take you maybe less than 2 minutes. It's a very straightforward process.
Yeah, I mean, no shades to the traditional finance, but in HelloFi, you can deposit any amount you feel like, unlike the others that probably have like a minimum deposit and stuff like that. Then
Mm.
also, I guess from what you've said, anyone, uh, provided you have the internet and you have your HelloFi account, you can just start it right away.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So you don't even need a HaloFi account, really. What you do
uh-huh,
need is a wallet.
a
So that
wallet.
could be a lot of people are coming from. We have a partner with Opera MiniPay. So
Uh-huh.
if you're already using the Opera MiniPay wallet, you can actually go up into the curated dApps, and we're one of the 7 dApps in there. So you can then just open up HaloFi, you'll already be connected. If
Mm-hmm.
you are using a different wallet, so maybe you're using Valora, MetaMask, Trust Wallet, you can actually just connect that wallet to HaloFi. So I think with crypto, there's still sometimes a little bit of a painful moment when you create your wallet. But once you've created it, it's very easy to interact
Mm-hmm.
with new applications like HaloFi. We do have a account abstraction. So again, I'm using a little bit of the kind of industry terms that we try not to use too much in the
Yeah.
application to make it accessible. But I'm sure your listeners will be okay with that. But basically, it will give a sort of what we call a Web 2 style login. So what you typically have with login with your Gmail account, very straightforward. People have used it many times before, and that will create like a wallet for you that is using this account abstraction technology. That means it's still under your control. We won't hold it. We're not a centralized exchange. We never have access to your funds, so they always remain under your control. Whether you bring your wallet or whether you, when we have this new service, whether you use that. Um, and then you can then start depositing into HaloFi. So it's pretty straightforward. It shouldn't take you very long. We also have a partnership with Phone Bank, so you can top up via mobile money or cards, and we're going to be adding more fiat on ramping solutions as well.
Yeah. Phone bank is a really cool tech that you can, I mean, change your airtime to crypto and the other way around. So yeah, as you are talking about account abstraction, maybe I say it in a layman's language. So it's just from the name account abstraction, you don't really have to know the technology behind it, but it's working. So I think maybe I give an
Mm.
example of a local tech here in Kenya, M-Pesa. I've been using it for years and I don't really know the tech behind it, but it's working perfectly well. And yeah, that's sort of an example of what account abstraction is. So in the crypto world, the smartest people like you, HelloFi, have built systems that the users don't really have to get into the techie stuff, but it's working perfectly well. So I was just curious. Maybe I've listened to this podcast, and I'm just wondering, how does HelloFi manage to uh, gain the funds that they use for the APY and stuff like that? So what's the
How does it work?
yeah,
And
how does it work? Like, how do you generate the funds that people that are saving in HelloFi get the
it's a
rewards and
very good
stuff?
question. It's a very good question because like across the industry, you're going to see like different APYs. Often, when you look underneath, it's like coming from their own tokens, so it can be a
Uh-huh.
little bit.
Fishy.
It can be a little. I don't want to use the word Ponzi, but like it can be a little bit smart with the token design. But no, we build on top of basically DeFi protocols
Mm-hmm.
that give like a lending borrowing functionality. So, for example, we've been building on top of like Aave and Mula, which is a fork of Aave, and that basically allows you to either borrow or deposit crypto. And when you do that, depending, it's a variable APY. So with these DeFi yields, the APY it can change based upon like how many borrowers there are, how many depositors there are. The more people who want to borrow, the higher the APY will be because there's more demand for people to deposit. So it is variable. The nice thing is though, it's continually paying out the APY. So sometimes people ask us, they're like, do I get the interest every week, every month? And it's like, no, you're continually getting that interest. So you're actually getting the interest, and then that interest will be earning interest itself. So it's quite a nice feature. Um, but we don't build these protocols because there are very smart people building them,
Yeah.
and these protocols already have like billions and hundreds of millions in them. So they're doing it's very impressive what they've built in terms of like the decentralized finance part of it. But where we come in is we use these existing battle tested uh, protocols that always have audits, etc. We know the teams well. We build on top of these open smart contract ran lending and borrowing platforms, and we just build the interface. So we're just making it easier for people to use them. You can, if you want, go straight to the Aave website and then deposit in there. You're perfectly free to do that. But I would say it's not been designed. It's more been designed for people who are, I would say, this typical type of DeFi user. So you're not going to get things like being able to set a goal. You're not going to get reminders. It's not going to be optimized for mobile. I think it's pretty much designed to use on a desktop, but it is there. And the benefit it does mean with us using these protocols is it means that actually the APY is being generated from a real, demand of demand of borrowing. So that's nice. So it's actually kind of like, let's say a real yield. It's coming from not from like a native token. It's coming from the yield that the pool is generating by the demand of borrowing. And it also does mean that we build in a way that we're very committed to decentralized principles. So we want to make sure that users are always in control of their money, etc. We don't want to lock anyone into something that they don't want to be locked into. So it does mean that, as well as using our interface, you can actually go directly to the protocol interface and withdraw from that interface as well. So it does have the benefit of, like, for example, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if the HaloFi team was nuked tomorrow or a website went down, anything like this can, we don't want it to happen, but it's, it could happen in theory, right? You can still access your funds straight via the protocol website or the smart contract. You can connect via a block explorer, so you're never going to be locked out of it in the way that we've seen, like, I won't name any names, but some of the big centralized exchanges, etc., that went down more recently left people kind of, left people without a way to access their funds because it was centrally managed. We don't do that. We do it in a way that, like, there are ways that you can go direct to the blockchain and get your funds back even without our website. So we make it very open and decentralized.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because it was actually my next concern, like how users could be sure that their funds are safe in case what you are speculating happens, which you've really tackled very well. So it's completely decentralized and users are completely in charge of their funds. You can withdraw any time you feel like and deposit anytime you feel like. And I guess, yeah, you've also cleared out something that HaloFi is just like a bridge or an interface that kind of bridges us to the already complicated built existing DeFi applications.
Yeah.
So
I think the best way to say is it's like an application interface into it. So it's giving you the experience of connecting to the blockchain. I would say probably bridging, it might be a little bit confusing because sometimes when we talk bridging, we're thinking about moving across chain. And we don't do so much of that, although we have had plugins that allow users to do that. We're mainly focused on the connection into the blockchain so that you, the user, can have like a very user-friendly, mobile-friendly experience when you connect to the blockchain and take some of that pain out of it, but it's still ultimately going on chain in a way that you control.
Yeah, let's use interface for now. Bridging in the DeFi world means something else totally different.
I don't want to get people confused, you
know? Yeah, true to that. So yeah, I'm just wondering about now let's talk about a bit of the communities and how you manage to build the HaloFi communities, because I once met you here like 1 year ago in its Safari, but now I'm just curious about the communities that you're targeting. Do you target well, not targeting, but the communities that you've worked with mostly, because I've seen a lot of HaloFi activities in West Africa. So could you talk about your communities and probably the people that you intend to offer the HaloFi services to?
Yeah, so we have like a really awesome community, and there's like number of different parts to it. We have an ambassador program both in Kenya and in Nigeria. So our ambassador manager Adam, he's running that. So he's actually, if anyone is interested, jump into our Telegram. You can find it on our website, or I think it's on our Twitter as well. Chat to Adam if you're interested in being an ambassador. They do a whole host of different things. They're running events. They're going on Twitter Spaces. They're creating like content for Twitter, etc. They do a referral program as well. So we have those on the ground ambassadors. We've also done something recently which has been a lot of fun. So we ran, it's called DeFi Diplomas. Basically, we ran a 7-week course, which is like just giving you the intro in terms of blockchain, crypto, DeFi, wallets, DAOs, etc. And the reason for that is like, so I basically got into the space in 2017, and at that time, it was quite easy to learn everything because there wasn't really that much. Basically, there was ICOs, there were tokens, there was Bitcoin, there's Ethereum. There wasn't even really stable tokens at that point. DeFi didn't exist. NFTs were just getting invented, but it was a simpler time because there was less development in the space. And I think now, certainly when you get involved in the space, coming completely new, you're hearing about all of these different things, L2s, NFTs, DAOs, etc.
Yeah.
And it can be quite overwhelming. So we wanted to create a space where we can say, okay, hey, like no stupid questions. We're going to go through and we're going to take each of these topics kind of like in order and give a really nice education on it. And we had some really good speakers. So we've had like Renee from Cello Foundation. We've had Marcus from Mento, Anna from Good Dollar. So we've been, taking this cohort on a learning journey, hopefully giving them a bit more knowledge to help equip their journey into the space. And that's been really nice. That's been a nice touch point. We also do a lot of collaborations. So we've done collaborations with like Good Dollar. We build on top of the Mento token, so CUSD being a Mento stable token. As I mentioned, we're one of the MiniPay partner projects, so working very closely with the MiniPay ecosystem. And it's been very vibrant. Last time I was in Nairobi, I met up with the ambassadors in person, so that was really cool. It's really, I think the thing about crypto and DeFi is it's all about the community, and it's not just a sort of team-led product. So community is very important to us.
I didn't know HaloFi has such a nice program. So how can I get into the educational sort of program that you talked about?
So I will give you a link. Maybe you can add it to the description, which is to our Telegram channel. If not, you can find a link on halofi.me. Jump into our Telegram and then just say you're interested in joining the ambassador program. And then our ambassador lead, Adam, will be able to get back to you and chat to you about that. But Telegram is currently where we're getting most of the kind of community questions come in.
Oh, okay, that's for the people interested in the ambassador program. But I was talking about the program where I invite speakers from Cello Foundation, MiniPay. How can someone get in touch with such kinds of content?
So we're coming up, I think this week is the last series in this. It's a 7-week course. So this week we're doing the last one. Once we've done that, we will be like doing a quick sync, doing a little bit of retro, seeing what went well and what can we improve, because we're all about continual improvement.
Yes.
And then we will be launching another one shortly. Again, I would say the best way to keep up to date with that would be jump in our Telegram or follow us on Twitter. So we're HaloFi_me on Twitter. Everything goes up on there, and everything is also notified in our Telegram channel, and you'll be the first to hear about a new course as it goes live.
Yeah, I'll share all the links in the episode description.
Sweet.
Yeah. What about this catchy phrase, deposit, earn interest, and save towards your goal? So if I have some goal, is there a way I can probably set, the way someone can write, let me call it, are they called piggy something, where you write the name of what you want to buy, so you keep depositing money there.
We
So
have something. We have a feature like this, so
fascinating. Uh-huh.
you can go through and you can select. We've got like a number of different things. So maybe you're saving for a phone, a holiday, a wedding, a house, etc. And we've also got an own goal. So if you are saving for something that doesn't quite fit into those categories, you can select that. And
Mm-hmm.
then it will give you you can decide, like, so maybe if I'm saving for a house, I want a lot more money than if I'm saving for a phone, right? So I can put in how much I'm saving towards, and then once I save that, you get a progress bar, and you can see your progress along it, and you'll also get monthly emails saying, hey, remember you set this goal of saving for saving for your house, put in some extra funds for it, because I think we always set the goals with good intentions, but we need those reminders, right?
Yeah, so HaloFi kind of reminds you, hey, you need to, I mean, deposit some money in your car savings plan, stuff like that.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. Keeping you on track,
so when you probably decide to take up that challenge, is there a way that it locks you from accessing the funds, or you can always take it out if you want to?
At the
But
moment,
mhm,
we don't lock it up. It is
mhm.
something that we've spoken about because a few people we get this, like, some people want this feature. We don't have it at the moment. But if you think it would be good, let us know because we're always looking to add new features. And this is something that we've had a number of requests for. So maybe in the future. But right now, you're free to take your funds out whenever you want. We don't lock them up for you.
Probably you could, I don't know about, yeah, probably the devs can introduce time-based lockup. Maybe you can uh, introduce a time-based lockup where if it's for the house you're planning for 2 years, uh,
Mm.
you can incorporate time-based that you can access the funds after 2 years. But anyway, it's decentralized technology. It's supposed to be free to anyone. You can get in or out whenever you feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could you also probably take us through some of your major supporters or backers? I've heard you talk about Rainsberg. Um, Surprisingly enough, he was my first ever guest in my show.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
I didn't know he would.
Awesome guy.
Yeah, yeah, he's an
Yeah,
awesome
he's an
guy.
awesome guy.
Yeah, we talked about Silo and stuff, and it was really cool. So, who are the other major partners, or yeah, like I've heard you talk about MiniPay also. Could you please talk us through some
Yeah.
of them?
So, I mean, we work very closely with the Cello team. We've been on Cello now for almost 3 years, so we're kind
Mm-hmm.
of like a Cello OG, I would say. So we are, yeah, very mission aligned and share a lot of the same values. So that's really nice on the Cello front of things. As you mentioned with MiniPay, we're also very committed to making it mobile friendly. I think MiniPay have done a fantastic job of creating a very user friendly wallet. I would recommend your listeners to test it out if they want to
Sure.
try a very user friendly wallet. We also work closely with like the Mento Foundation. So Mento, basically, if your listeners don't know about them, they basically create all of these stable tokens that you see on Celo. So CUSD, which is the digital dollar on Celo, they provide the decentralized infrastructure to manage that. So it's backed by a treasury. I think it's over collateralized, more like $4.50 to every dollar. So you've got the treasury is very large compared to to the um, the actual dollar value that you're getting on it, because I think obviously we saw like Luna, etc., how stable tokens are not always stable. So they do a lot of work to maintain the stability of it. They also, I think last week or the week before, they launched a Kenyan shilling stable token. So I don't know if you've been following that. We've yet to integrate that into HaloFi, but we've done stuff previously. They also have a C real, so the Brazilian stable currency, and a C euro. And we've done a couple of things with that. But at the moment, we are seeing most demand for the CUSD, so the dollar stable token. Um, so I'd say those are kind of like our partners at the moment. We've also launched on Base, so we have a Base build. So if you are a Base user, you can go and connect to HaloFi with your Base account. And then we build on top of Aave and Beefy on Base. We build on top of Mula on Celo. So these are kind of our main partners in terms of the product. And of course, we've done a lot of like kind of more community partnerships with projects that we're aligned with. So as I mentioned, Good Dollar, Impact Market, etc. We've done a bunch of campaigns with them as well.
Yeah, I think those are pretty good partners. Do you probably
Mm-hmm.
intend to incorporate local partners or local startups that you've interacted with in the Nigerian or Kenyan ecosystem? Probably, let's
Yeah.
say I have some cool product that is in a line with HaloFi. Do you think it's something that you are open to?
Yeah, so I think there's two areas that are particularly useful for us, and that one is like fiat on ramping. So we've mentioned already we have a partnership with Phone Bank, so ways to make that easier. And then the other thing is like different yield sources. So we've been speaking to some yield sources that provide like on-chain real-world assets. So that's very interesting. Like if we can get our users exposure to like government bonds, etc., and they're earning from something that has like value that's backed up by government, but they also have the benefit of having it on chain and being able to deposit small amounts, etc., being much more liquid than you would be if you go straight to the traditional way of buying bonds. So that's interesting to us. We also do a number of partnerships with people who like have communities, etc. But it's always like case by case. You know what I mean? So like we're very open to collaborating, but it's sort of depending case by case what makes sense in terms of us strategically. You know?
Mm-hmm. Uh, okay, with the recent news of ETFs being approved and Bitcoin and stuff, is it something that is good news to products like HaloFi that are really heavy on savings and finance, according to probably you? Is it a
Mm-hmm.
good thing to you?
I mean, I think it's got a lot of positives for the industry generally because I think it legitimizes what we're building
Mm-hmm.
and really puts like Bitcoin and Ethereum in a new asset class where like larger funds, pension funds, etc., are going to have to buy some of this asset to have some exposure to it. And I think it means that people who may want to get exposure to crypto, but they don't necessarily want to run like have their own wallet, etc. It is beneficial to them. But I still think it's if you're going through an ETF, you're still coming from a centralized entity, so you're going to have KYC. It may not be supported in your country. You can
Mm-hmm.
have more restrictions on like the amount you can deposit. How you can take out. So I think it's great for the industry overall, but I still think for a lot of users, they may want to have like the flexibility that comes with really being decentralized and not necessarily going through a centralized entity to access it. But I think overall, I'm bullish of it, and I think it's good to have options because some people want to go an ETF route, some people want to get direct access to it, and like having a range of options is best, I think, for everyone.
Yeah, I'm asking for the sake of my fellow DJs. Is there a
Mm-hmm.
possibility that probably in the future there could be savings in the volatile class asset classes apart from CUSD and
Yeah,
the stable coins for just for the people who like taking risks like
I think we can
me
add
and
it.
other DJs?
We may change the copy and call it more something different than savings, right? We may call it like I don't know if we call it investments or crypto holdings, etc. Just to make that distinction clear, right?
Yeah,
Because if you're saving for your school fees, you don't want to be saving
true.
in a volatile crypto and it's lost all of its price, right? So,
Hmm.
but it's something that we are interested in, and I think for certain users to have the option to be able to access it is very valuable. Yeah, for sure.
So HaloFi doesn't really need to have uh, should I call it locked, what is the term of um where I've forgotten the term, but like proof of proof of assets where HelloFi has a specific amount of money set aside for emergency. HelloFi doesn't really need to have that because they're just an interface that helps users to interact with the DeFi apps without
Yeah.
necessarily going through the techie stuff and all. Is my assumption
Yeah,
through.
so because we don't hold your funds directly,
Mm-hmm.
we're not like what they call a custodian. So we don't have to, um, we're not responsible for your funds because they stay under your wallet. We can't actually
Yeah,
access it. So I can't, if you are a HaloFi user, I can't go into your account and take out your dollars. There's no way it's possible for me to do that. But having said that, it is very transparent. So you can go to Moolah, you can go to Aave, you can go to Beefy, and you can actually see what's happening with these protocols. Like, of course, like if there ever was an exploit, we'd notify our users straight away. But um, you can see how the protocol is behaving. You can see what the APY is. So it's all transparent. So you don't need to worry about us running away with your money because even if we wanted to, we can't. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
really
sure.
under your control.
Mm-hmm. There are also some reward systems in HaloFi that could probably uh, entice probably new users. Well, not entice, but just some rewards for HaloFi users.
So we have points, so you can go and
Mm-hmm.
collect Halo by points. If you follow us on Twitter, it gives you some more points.
Interesting.
And also, every time you deposit, you earn more points. So that is something that's quite fun. We have been running a number of campaigns. So we've had like a weekly leaderboard campaign. But more recently, more recently, follow our Twitter, and when we have a new one to announce, we will share it. So all of the news will come out on Twitter first.
Interesting. I'll unfollow and follow again so that I be eligible for the points.
Yeah, you can go to our leaderboard, and it will you can see how many points you've earned, and you can also like see how your balance is going up.
Hmm. Just curious about probably because HelloFi is a really nice product. So I'm just curious about probably some of the earlier challenges and present challenges that you're still undergoing and how
Mm.
you're probably trying to mitigate them to make it better for us, the users. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think I'm sure like as anyone who's tried to start a startup or build a company, there's a lot of challenges in the early
true.
days, right? So you have to fundraise, you have to get users on board, you have to build a product, and you have to do all of these things sort of in parallel. So I think that is a challenge for anyone who's doing that. We've been very lucky with some things like the Opera Mini Pay partnership. So that is a great distribution network for us for people to join. We've also, I think, even going way back, if we go back to actually 2020, the big challenge that we had was like at that point there wasn't really alternative EVM chains. It was just basically Ethereum, and the gas price was just way too high for people to want to like deposit like $1 when you're paying $40 in gas. It doesn't make sense. So that was like a very early challenge for us, like a technical one, but we were able to solve that with Polygon and Cello, etc. And then I think we've seen like over time the technology just keeps getting better. So like things like account abstraction, wallets becoming available, better indexing, faster faster APIs, etc. So users get a better user experience, better wallet. So I think things are improving on the technical front, user experience front. Obviously, it takes time. Um, I think also, of course, like anyone who's been in this space for any time will realize we are very much affected by like the highs and the lows of the market. So in 2021, it was kind of a crazy time when NFTs are going for six figures and millions, etc. And then we go into like what happened in 2022, where we have a lot of people losing money, Luna, FTX, and it's a little bit more of a stressful time. And now we're coming into maybe more of an optimistic time. We've had the ETFs, etc. And I think this does affect how people think about crypto. For us, because we've been building a lot of stable tokens, we don't necessarily have. We want to build something that's still useful for people, whether it's a bull market or a bear market. And that's why stable tokens are really important. But of course, you are affected by like the mood and the sentiment and the vibe, definitely, and the interest. So that's a challenge for anyone in the space. But I would say, yeah, and I think there are still improvements we want to make to our UX, making it more user friendly. We've done a lot of work, user testing, etc. But making it 100% seamless, it's going to take a little bit more time, and we work on that every day.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of work you have. I was
Definitely.
actually, you could probably also just share with the listeners on probably the future advancements that you plan, or even future partnership that we should look forward to, and how you plan to drive future innovation in the DeFi space.
Yeah, so I can give you a little bit of alpha, as they say. We will be launching, I think, next week, multi-yield. So, like, we're going to have more than one yield source per chain.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start with Beefy on base, and that will give users a higher APY for Beefy. Basically compound stuff. So essentially, we're building on top of Compound, and it's going to give you a higher APY than you get direct with Compound because it's got an auto compounding feature. But that's just the beginning. We're going to be adding more yield sources afterwards. So that's something we're really excited about. We are continually improving our UI, adding more gamification. There'll be more stuff with points. I can't really say what, but there will be more stuff. And just making it easier for people to use our application. So that's really our focus at the moment. Easier and a better range of yields, essentially.
Mm-hmm. So there's so much to look forward to.
Definitely, definitely.
Right. Uh, this conversation can go on and on because there's so much to talk about in not just HaloFi but the whole decentralized world. Um, so probably we could talk a little bit about just just to wind up this conversation. I hope you will come back in the future when most of your future plans are already rolling out, like what the alpha that you've given us and the future ones. Yeah, so you could probably just provide some few insights and probably talk talk us a little bit about your background in 2017 and innovations that, just like you said, startup is so hard to, I mean, to start until it keeps rolling. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
just talk us about probably motivation. What drove you to make HelloFi a success story to people who are listening out there and want to continue building on the DeFi space?
Yeah, so in terms of like my journey into the space, I was working as a developer in 2017. Not in crypto. I was working for a identity Web2 company.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, 2017 was kind of the bull market. So like, like a lot of people, I bought a bit of crypto. It went up in price. Of course, I didn't sell it. I just held on to it and it dropped in price. So
Oh my
I was
God.
like, I don't know if you've seen that meme. It's like, I'm in it for the tech. Um, I was
Yeah.
that meme. So I was like, okay, I earned some money, I lost some money, fine, whatever. I'm now going to learn about Solidity. I'm going to start building smart contracts with Remix, making some basic stuff, basically. And then from then, I actually switched sectors. So in 2018, I moved to work in the crypto industry, and I worked for a company called Lisk, which is now an L2, and actually has a regional focus also. So I was working there as a developer evangelist, doing kind of technical marketing. I also worked for a company called Ceramic, so you may know them as well. And I did work for Twilio for a bit, doing developer relations. So more on the technical marketing, running events, creating blogs, etc., um, workshops, all of this stuff. So I was technical, but I had some marketing and promotion experience as well. And then I founded like HaloFi. Well, started working on the idea at the ETH London Hackathon in 2020, which was basically the last event before everything got closed. So it was in February 2020, just before the world got shut down. We were one of the finalists there, which we were very impressed with because like we were a completely new team. We'd never worked together. So that was really awesome. And I met the current team that I've been working with. So France is my co-founder as part of Ethereum kernel summer program in 2020. So that's a Gitcoin kernels program. Definitely recommend it for people who are interested in being part of the space. Sorry. And then we were working, obviously it was lockdown. We were working evenings and weekends on the HaloFi good ghosting we were known as back then. It was a very silly name that we changed. We were working evenings and weekends on the project, and then we were able to do like a Gitcoin grant. We knew that there was some investors who were potentially interested, so we were like, okay, cool, let's take the leap. Let's quit our jobs. Let's fundraise. Let's make a company. And that was in 2021. So just over 3 years ago that I've been building full time on that. So that's really been my journey. I'm very passionate about making crypto accessible and like building stuff that is relatable to, like, as I mentioned, like regular people, so that we don't just keep it in hands of DeFi degens. Great, we love DeFi degens because they test a lot of what we do and they show so much dedication to this space. So not knocking on them at all. But I think really to get the benefit, or everyone to get the benefit of this more transparent ecosystem, we have to build for people who are outside of the space as well. So that's really been my personal mission. And yeah, it's been a pretty crazy journey, but definitely one that's been worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. That's so much work that you put through, like attending the conferences and hackathons and all. It seems every startup in crypto started through hackathons, most probably. And
Definitely recommend hackathons. Like, and it's great now because there's a bunch that are online, so you're not necessarily limited geographically.
yeah,
I imagine there will be some hackathons coming around with East Safari this year. I know that's quite a popular time for events. So definitely recommend anyone who either wants to work in the space or wants to build something, go to a hackathon. Even if you don't, form a team, you're still going to meet great people, and you're going to get like a lot of lifelong contacts, and like learn a lot in the process, and maybe you make a team, and maybe you kind of build a product, and maybe that's it. So definitely recommend it to anyone who wants to build.
yeah. You've given the audience a lot of insight. Probably let's just wind up this conversation because it's been pretty productive. Probably just some final, okay, it's not the last, but just some final stuff that you'd probably want to add on not just HaloFi but the whole decentralized finance ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, so some closing final remarks. I would say, of course, I will share HaloFi. Go and try us out at halofi.me. But I think more importantly, yeah, just keeping open to developments. I think we're in a time now where like crypto is starting to get real world adoption. As you mentioned, the ETF, we're also seeing a lot more real world assets come on board. Whether you are a developer, in which case definitely get to a hackathon, or whether you want to like work in the space, like maybe as community, etc., dive into those telegrams, dive into those discords, start chatting to people, and once you go down the rabbit hole, like a lot of opportunities open up. So that would be my advice to people who are looking to work in the space. And yeah, if you're interested in the space, like, yeah, it's sometimes good to have like a little bit of make a small fund or a small amount that you're okay to play around with. You're not going to be devastated if you lose it. Put that into a wallet and then try out a bunch of dApps, and then start to learn by doing. I think is always the best way. But just make sure you are careful, because sometimes we've seen in this space there are hacks, there are all this and that. So make sure that we are a little careful with our funds as well, but not too careful that we don't try. You know what I mean?
Yeah, risk what you can afford to lose, not
Exactly.
financial advice. Do your own research.
Exactly. Do your own research. That's a great way to wrap it up.
Yeah. Probably just give us your handles and then we can close off the amazing episode where we can
Yeah.
find you.
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's Rach, RACHB, London. As you can tell, I am from London accent. And then we've got HaloFi, which is HaloFi, so like Halo Finance underscore ME on Twitter as well. And I'll drop you the link so you can add them in as well. But yeah, please follow us, and also jump into our Telegram. There's a lot of chat in there, and any new announcements, product or even community-wise, will be available there as well.
It was a pretty fruitful conversation, and happy to host you again. Looking forward to the future development of HaloFi as a whole.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's been a real blast. And thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, love to come back in the future when we've built out a load more stuff.
HaloFi and do your own research.
Here we go. Here we go. Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers.